At 6 feet 2 inches, with shoulders like stone cliffs and hips that refused to be anything shy or subtle, Ava Daniels had grown used to being labeled too much, too tall, too strong, too loud, too ambitious, too curvy, too outspoken, too everything. Her mother had once said, "Men like women they can protect. You look like you could carry one on your back." As if her body was a flaw. As if her strength made her unlovable. By 28, Ava had been on 17 serious dates, each ending the same way, an apology, sometimes spoken, sometimes ghosted, but always heavy with the same unspoken reason. "You're just a lot." The first had been in college. Jason, the rugby player with a smile like sunlight. He kissed her behind the library and whispered, "You're so sexy." But when they arrived at a party and she towered over him in heels, he asked her to go barefoot. That night ended with her sandals at her hands and pride lodged in her throat. Number 5, a poet named Leo, had worshipped her with words. He called her Amazonian, compared her to ancient queens. But he went silent every time they were in a crowd. Eventually, he said, "It's just hard for me to feel like the man." The most painful had been number 12. David, a gentle software engineer with shy eyes and soft hands. They dated 3 months. Ava allowed herself to believe he saw her heart. Then one Sunday morning, tangled in sheets and possibility, he murmured, "I think I need someone softer." 17 men. 17 letdowns. Each one left a scar, a quiet whisper inside her that maybe she was broken. Maybe her size was a curse. Maybe there was no room in this world for women like her. Not in love, anyway. Then came number 18. At first glance, he was nothing extraordinary. Not flashy, not famous. Not someone her friends would screenshot with heart eye emojis. His name was Elijah. 31. Carpenter. Strong hands, a crooked nose, eyes the color of coffee just before cream. They met at a community art exhibit. Ava lingered in front of a painting, bold reds, harsh blacks. A woman shaped like fire. Elijah stood beside her. "She reminds me of you," he said. Ava raised an eyebrow. "She looks like she could snap a man in half." He smiled. Because she looked like she wouldn't apologize for it. She laughed, truly laughed. His voice felt calm, grounded, not performative. They spoke for an hour, then 2. He didn't flinch when she mentioned freelance engineering consulting and 6-figure earnings. He didn't hesitate when she said she was a foot taller in heels. He didn't shrink when she described running solo marathons just to clear her mind. Instead, he asked, "What's your mile pace?" Coffee the next weekend, then dinner, then a hike. 2 months passed. Not once did he hint she was too much. In fact, he leaned in hungry for more stories, more jokes, more of her. One night, on his balcony, stars hanging like soft whispers, Ava asked cautiously, "You know I've been told I'm intimidating, right?" Elijah took her hand, kissed her knuckles, and said simply, "That's because you don't belong to boys who scare easily." She cried, not in sorrow, but because for the first time, someone had seen her whole, not a woman to be trimmed to someone else's comfort zone. 8 months later, they moved in together. The first time she met his family, she wore flats and old habits. Elijah noticed after dinner, took her hand and said, "Wear whatever makes you feel like you." I didn't fall in love with a shadow. She never wore flats again. On their 1-year anniversary, he surprised her with a coastal trip. A cabin, gentle waves, and a wooden box. Inside was a ring. Not small, not delicate, but bold. A deep sapphire set in gold, strong as the woman he loved. On one knee, he didn't ask, "Will you make me better?" Or complete me. He asked, "Will you build a world with me?" Brick by brick, fierce and unafraid. She said yes, tears in her eyes, laughter in her lungs. They married, not in a church or ballroom, but in a field of tall sunflowers. She wore heels that made her 6 feet 5 inches. He wore boots that added nothing to his height, but everything to his stride. They stood eye to eye, not because of size, but because they saw each other fully. At the reception, Ava took the microphone. She didn't name the 17, but spoke of the years she thought she must shrink to be loved. She told of the dates where she laughed too softly, ate too politely, hid herself in politeness and restraint. She looked at Elijah. "You never asked me to be less. You met me at my fullest and said, 'Yes, this.'" Applause. Her mother cried. Old roommates cheered. Ava, once told she was too tall, too strong, too loud, too big, became a wife, not by shrinking, but by rising. 5 years later, the sun set behind the house they built. Literally, Elijah carved the beams. Ava designed the solar grid. Mara, barefoot, climbed a tree. Ezra built a robot from cereal boxes. Ava was barefoot in the garden, hands deep in soil, body still strong, still big, still bold. Elijah appeared with 2 lemonades. She looked up, grinned. He kissed her cheek. Still perfect. 17 rejections had whispered, "You're too much." One man said, "You're just enough for me. You're everything."